Hi everyone.
Hi everyone. Hi there. So we're going to be talking to you today about life as a trainee in RPC. I'm Kieran and this is Ella. We're just going to give ourselves a quick sort of background, like where we've come from and our route into RPC. We're going to talk a little bit about RPC itself as a firm, and then we're going to get on to the actual substance, which would be a day in the life of a trainee. So I'm Kieran. My route into law was basically I did a 4-year undergrad LLB with a year abroad where I lived in Holland. And then after that, I did a bit of an in-house stint in a aviation simulation commercial and compliance team. And then after that, I came onto the VAT scheme at RPC and I was offered a training contract on the back of that.
Hi everyone, my name's Ella. I am a second-year trainee. Just a bit about me. I did a Law of American Law degree. I spent 1 year in America studying in law school. I then worked in-house for 3 years at a retail management company. During that time, I secured my training contract with RPC, which was great. I ended up doing the LPC part-time after work, did that, and then joined RPC last year. Spent my first seat in commercial contracts, CTO, and then property and casualty in the insurance department, and now I'm currently in corporate.
Yeah, thanks, Ella. And I should also add to my one, yes. So my first seat was commercial disputes, banking and general litigation, to construction insurance, and I'm now in Ella's old seat, property and casualty insurance, which is cool. So before we go on again, we're going to introduce RPC as a firm. So RPC, or Reynolds Porter Chamberlain, the full name, but obviously we refer to the acronym. We're a mid-sized city firm offering a full range of services through a vast range of teams across our insurance and commercial practices. We have a particular contentious focus, so a lot of dispute resolution, which makes up, I would say, around sort of 70 to 80% of our practice, with all the non-contentious matters being dealt with by a combination of IP, commercial contract, and the corporate team. We also have Alex, which is a kind of worldwide network of other law firms who we can refer work to and get referrals from where we need assistance on extraterritorial matters. So, for example, in America, in Europe, we always make sure that we have a good high quality law firm that we can reach out to and seek advice from. Now, of course, the award section, there's plenty of awards, as you can see. RPC is actually very highly rated for its client service and its training for trainee solicitors. We've got a variety of awards, even Law Firm of the Year, Insurance Law Firm, and most recently, we actually won the TMT Team of the Year 2020 for our work with the link payment system through our CTO team, which Ella was once part of.
Yeah, thanks for the shout out, Kieran.
That's right. So as RPC, as I've sort of alluded to, is split up into two main groups. The first is insurance, which has sort of historically been RPC's dominant practice, but has since now been sort of supplemented with the commercial team, which has now grown to about half of the firm's work. So on the insurance practice area, I've now spent about a year there across the construction team and the property and casualty. Well, I will have spent a year by the end of the seat in the property and casualty team. Our groups are actually in the screen, so professional risks and financial risks are treated as one team, PFR. Construction insurance, which is actually quite a large practice where we do a lot of defensive architects, and currently we're dealing with a lot of cladding-related claims post-Grenfell. Property and casualty, which is a much more sort of wide and varied sort of types of disasters, buildings going up in flames, generators gone wrong, sort of thing. Energy, which is property and casualty international, with much more of a, as you can tell, international focus. General liability and medical, which is a lot of life sciences and dealing with clinical negligence, which covers that area. As part of the PFR team, we've also recently had a massive expansion of our cyber breach team, which is where hackers get involved, which we have data breaches, and they work quite closely with the PFR team and MIPTOC.
Thanks, Kieran. So the other side of the firm, so the commercial side of the firm, I'm going to talk to you today about you can do a seat in these ones that I'm about to discuss. So the first one is commercial disputes. It's one of the largest departments within the firm, and it basically involves general dispute resolution practice, and it's divided into subgroups. So that's banking, tax, regulatory, and employment. In regards to banking, that's work usually with governments against investment banks, for example. Currently, we're representing the government of Nigeria in their dispute with JP Morgan, which is obviously an amazing case to have on at the firm. We've got some more general commercial disputes that are constantly ongoing. In terms of tax, that's tax dispute, experience with group litigation, for example. And in reg, we have financial service regulation, white collar crime, defending FCA investigations. So that's the typical work you would be involved with. In corporate, which I'm currently in at the moment, week 2, so I'm not going to profess to be an expert, but we're the market leader in mid-market M&A. We primarily work across 3 industries: retail, insurance, and technology, and we work closely with a lot of international offices, mainly through the Terralex network. My first seat was spent in commercial contracts, which makes up an acronym of MIXOP, which we use across a wider department, which is media, IP, technology, outsourcing, and contracts. So in media, we work a lot with publications. Recently, we were acting for Christopher Steele, the British author of the infamous intelligence dossier on links between Russia and Donald Trump's presidential campaign, which was an amazing case that the trainees got to work on. We work a lot with the newspapers, and that's typically the kind of work that we have on in that department. In IP, we do a lot of IP trademark disputes across retail, tech, and the insurance sectors. In terms of technology, outsourcing, and contracts, we do a lot of commercial with brands, so marketing agreements, sponsorship deals, campaigns, commercial partnerships. We do a lot of work with the ASA and defending ASA disputes that have come up. We do obviously a lot of advising on contracts, so general global sponsorship arrangements and things like that. So the commercial practice is global and high profile. Some of the cases that I just referenced, obviously very high profile work, and we've got a high caliber of clients at RPC. That's one of the reasons that I was attracted to the firm. I knew of the clients that RPC worked with, and the fact that we have quite a small trainee intake, I knew that I would get to be involved with those clients. And within my first month, I was already working with really high profile names. So that's so incredible for your own personal development and CV. As you can see on the map, this maps out the location of disputes RPC has worked on. We have a connection with Terralex. I don't know if you're familiar with Terralex, but that basically how it works is, instead of opening offices across the world, which works for some law firms, we partner with law firms already established in different countries. So you can reach out to them because we partnered up with Terralex. And that's just more of a cost-effective way of getting cross-jurisdictional advice for our clients. You can see newspaper cuttings of RPC in the news. Obviously, we make the headlines quite a lot, but all for good reasons.
So, as already alluded to, about 70 to 80% of our work is contentious work, which means that actually there's a good chance that across your time at RPC, you might find yourself in court, just assisting with bundles in particular, which is a typical trainee task, and taking them either to the roles building or the slightly more glamorous RCJ. Trainees also do something called the court rota, which is taking documents to court to be filed, which is a great experience if you get to go to the RPJ, where you get to basically have a little bit of a day trip out and take some documents to the appeals office. It's quite exciting to actually see the law actually applied on a day-to-day basis, the actual direct application of the law as well, which is a highlight of any seats as well. I remember some of the best times I had was actually when I was invited along to assist a witness with their reading of evidence going into court. And the whole day itself is quite exciting. And you may also get to take notes and also pass documents back and forth with the barristers. And it's all very sort of tightly coordinated machine, and a real great fun to be involved with, really. So what is life like in RPC? So our culture is possibly one of our greatest assets. It draws a lot of people, both from graduate level across from other firms as well through lateral hires. Some of the things that we can sort of talk about most is a fantastic office view. We're based just across from Tower Hill. We've got a great view of the Shard. I'm in the meeting room right now. I wish I could show you on a back camera, but there's not one on my laptop at the moment. But it also would have been too bright to have shown you. We have plenty of societies. We have a choir, we have a book club, we have Pilates and netball. Social activities are encouraged, particularly on pre-COVID times. We have annual summer and Christmas parties. We have a lot of insurance-related client events as well, such as Lloyd's Rugby Sevens, which is a great day out for the whole team. We have networking seminars, quiz nights, and as part of the commercial disputes team, part of our induction as trainees is actually going on a citywide treasure hunt, which was a really cool experience. Because we've got a smaller trainee cohort, as Ella mentioned earlier, we have quite a close-knit group, so we also have lunch together, and we go out for Friday drinks and organise our own socials together as well, which is fantastic. And we also get involved with the cohort next year coming in and helping induct them as well. The fact that we've got an open plan office is also really, really good, because that way, not only do you, it's very easy to go over and say hello to somebody, but also you do overhear a lot of conversations that senior partners or partners and associates may have with clients, which is part of your softer education as a trainee. So in the future, you can think, oh, wow, I heard a pretty nifty phrase that one of the associates in the call used a while back. I might use that in the future at some point. So it's fantastic from that point of view as well. RPC also takes good care of its trainees. We all received a little care package about halfway through working from home, which contained biscuits and other goodies, which never really goes amiss. More recently, we've been getting involved with virtual events, such as virtual quizzes across departments, and also the standard chartered Great Race 2020, which is essentially everybody runs a 5K, record your time on Strava, and upload to the RPC site. Now, Ella's just going to run us through a bit more of this in terms of our corporate social responsibility initiatives.
Thanks, Kieran. So recently, well, not recently, the firm are just currently in the process of relaunching their CSR program in the form of 3 work streams. So that is charity and community, pro bono, and environment. Well, when we run a lot of pre-joining events before you start RPC as a trainee. Before me and Kieran started, we actually were invited to spend an afternoon at a local community centre. We played games with local children. We helped lead an aerobics class, and we decorated the centre with Christmas decorations. So the firm are really keen to push this, pre-COVID times and post-COVID times across the whole firm. We do a lot of charity days inside the firm, so sales, sport challenges, London Legal Walk, Pride. That all plays a key part. We are ranked as a top 50 UK employer for social mobility as well. In terms of our inclusion and diversity programs, we at RPC really want to make staff feel supported and make sure everyone feels comfortable in their working environment. Groups in the firm who have an interest in these issues and wish to support others, such as being there in terms of mental health, being mental health supporters. We write a lot of blogs and we share a lot of experiences in terms of mental health. You can do training programs on it, for example, as well. We really want to increase the visibility of these issues across the firm. They're so important in today's society that we want that reflected in our working environment as well. We also have allies at RPC. So individuality, inclusion, and mutual respect matter so much to our culture at RPC. And the allies at RPC Network seeks to ensure that everyone can come to work as themselves and not feel that they have to hide any part of who they really are. Allies are individuals at RPC who have volunteered to be approached by colleagues for any personal guidance, and it's this program in place to really support staff. So now we're going to talk to you a bit about a day in the life of a trainee. I'm going to take it as a virtual day in the life, working from home. Currently, you can see Kieran is in the office and I am in my own bedroom. And apologies if anyone can hear some construction work that is going on in the flat below. Well, anyway, so my typical day in this strange new world is I log on and check my emails between 9 and 9:30. Then I will eat my breakfast. I will eat my breakfast at my desk while reviewing the to-do list for the day. My diary, I need to see what meetings I've got coming up. And typically I'll try and do my admin tasks that aren't particularly fun or exciting or chargeable work, but they need to be done. So that it can include maybe billing or making sure that, for example, terms of engagement with a council that we've instructed have been completed and signed by the partner. That's kind of admin I was talking about. And then, for example, today I had a weekly call with my team. We did, as I said, we do this weekly. We held it via Zoom. It's just a good time for the team to discuss any matters that we have on during the week or if anything completed, which is a great time for the team to get shout out and recognition for all their hard work. It's also good as a trainee to attend these meetings because you hear something you're interested in, you can raise your hand and say, I want to get involved, or after the meeting you can email the partner who mentioned it saying, can I be brought on to that matter? And they're really open to that.
Hi everyone, sorry to just interrupt. Kieran, if you don't mind going on mute, we're getting a bit of background noise and then we can keep going. Just a member of RMP. Hi everyone.
Sorry. So where was I? So at about 11 a.m, for example, I might have a call with my supervisor. The supervisors are really good at RPC. They've been even better during COVID. They're always checking in with us. I try and have a weekly or bi-weekly meeting with my supervisor. But for example, today they've called me saying, can you help me with a task? This task was to draft a deed of amendment. I am in the corporate team, so that's typical. But I also flagged to my supervisor when I first met her that I wanted to expand on my drafting skills. So obviously she thought of me when this task came up because I'd flagged my interests. So yeah, that might take me to about lunchtime. I then break for lunch. I think it's really important to step away from your desk in the office and not in your office, especially because I feel working from home, people might feel chained to their desk because it is in your house. I typically go for a walk just to clear my head. And then after lunch, I will review and edit my deed of amendment before sending it to my supervisor. I think if you're drafting big documents, it's good to do it, step away, then come back to it, and then look at it with a pair of fresh eyes. If time allows, obviously sometimes it's high pressured and it needs to be out, but in this case, it allowed me to do that. And then after I've sent that off, typically, like for example, yesterday I attended a retail share meeting. Retail is quite a big area for RPC. It goes across a lot of our practice areas. So we try and hold meetings like this every few weeks where the group will come together. It's typically partner led and they will give us a talk about some recent retail topics that are in the news, which we would find interesting and we can learn a lot about. Then after that, I actually had a task of creating a Bible of documents. This also flows into litigation. A Bible and a bundle are quite similar. So I'm sure you've all heard of a bundle, but a Bible is essentially when a deal completes in the corporate world, you've got all of these documents and all of these documents need to come together as one so that we will have this set of documents forever and ever. Maybe no one will ever look at them again, but it's always good to have. In COVID times, they're now electronic. If I was in the office, it might be in a physical bundle as well. And then after that, I would say we're nearing the end of my day. So I typically look at any emails that I haven't looked at because I've been concentrating on those bigger tasks, reply to them, write up my to-do list for the next day, look at my diary, see about my meetings, and submit my timesheet. Timesheets take a little while to do, but obviously they're really important because how else is a law firm going to charge? But that's typically the end of my day.
Thanks, Ella. I'm going to sort of be doing mine from more of a actual physical presence in the office perspective. So I start my day at 5:30 a.m. for 3 hours of grueling gym. No, that's a lie. I wake up at 9 and log on then, check my emails, and just sort of basically see if there's anything task left over from yesterday that I can get on with in the morning just to complete and finish up. At 9:30, I may take a call to my supervisor to go over the background for a call to counsel. So we may instruct counsel to assist us with drafting some particularly complex pleadings, particularly when we're going for dispute resolution in construction, which the main form of dispute resolution is adjudication, where you have to get your arguments or your pleadings out within sometimes 2 weeks of the proceeding starting. So it's actually quite a frantic time. And so it's always good to be briefed up on what counsel needs and be ready to assist on the call. At 10, we may actually attend the call itself. Trainees typically may take a note during the call, so you can have a reference point of exactly what counsel says, maybe take a note of what they need from us as solicitors. At 11 a.m, I can research a point of law. Sometimes it may be a very quick point, sometimes it may be quite an expensive point. The points that I most recently researched was on bailment, which is when party A gives property to party B to look after, and party B may actually end up damaging it in the course of repair. And sometimes the supervisor may need that to update the client, which could either be the insurers or the insureds, because we sometimes work under a joint retainer. So around 12:30, I try and break for lunch, maybe a little bit earlier. And like I said, try and either do a run or do something that gets me out of the office or away from my desk at home. Then I'll come back around maybe 1:15 p.m. and I may assist with drafting up a set of instructions to an expert. Particularly in insurance practices, we draft in a lot of experts to help us make our points and support evidence or give supporting evidence to our pleadings. So I don't know the first thing about cladding, but I'm sure there'll be a really good set of experts who will, and we'll get them to produce a witness statement. And to do that, they need to be instructed on what the facts are and what exactly they're being asked to give an opinion on. This is then reviewed by my supervisor, and we then send it off with final amendments. And then we may pencil in a meeting, maybe in a day or two, just to have a look over the changes that a supervisor may have made for learning and development. And it's a really good thing because here people will give you a lot of time to go over your documents and really want you to get better as well. So it's a good focus on personal development. At 3:45, I would prepare for and attend a tech learning program, which we call TechShare. This is a program where in the firm we get people from our tech-related teams, sort of talk about recent cases, lessons learned from those cases, and sort of do a bit of cross-selling within the firm. So if a dispute arises in construction to do with tech, we know exactly who to contact within the MIP team. So after we've done that and arranged the dates and arranged speakers for that, I'll be doing what Ella alluded to earlier, which is preparing a bundle of documents for counsel. Our clients would send us a load of documents, and it's up to us to arrange them with an index. So counsel can whip through them as fast as possible because time is of the essence in adjudication, and a really neat bundle is key for them to get their documents and pleadings together. That may take about an hour and a half. It's a sort of small to medium bundle, I would say. Obviously, some training is more efficient than others because I'm just very good at it. It's definitely a skill. It's definitely an art. But after that, I'll schedule in a catch up with my supervisor. So you'll have either one or two supervisors in each seat, typically an associate and a partner. And then you have a chat about maybe what you've done over the past 2 weeks, points for development, how you're getting along, how you're integrating with the team, how maybe you can raise your profile within the team, and also any other bits of work that you think you might need. Then after that, I update a COVID-19 tracker of events for the construction clients. So of course, when COVID-19 hit, as you're probably aware or possibly aware, surveyors can no longer go in homes, building sites had to be cleared. And because those are a lot of our clients, either insureds or insurers of those construction clients, we need to have eyes on exactly day-to-day what's happening. And one of my tasks would be to appraise the team of what's going on in our clients' world so we can give really good commercial advice. That'll take me to around 6:30 when I'll log off, and then around 7 it's time for hockey. So yeah, that's a day in the life. And I think that sort of wraps up the meat of our session. So now I think we are ready for a Q&A.
Hello. So I'm Lizzie, lovely to see you both. For everyone else, I am from Rate My Placement. So I have the pleasure of asking some questions that we've had from the audience, and also I've got a few of my own. So if I crack on with the first question, are you both ready?
Hello.
Yeah. Oh, can you hear me, Kieran? Yeah. Perfect.
I can hear you.
Awesome. Yeah. So the first question I've got is, what is your favourite?
Sorry, I can't hear Lizzie.
Oh, can't hear. Should we? If I try Ella, can you hear me?
Yes.
Ella can hear me. We'll try and hopefully get Kieran to hear us in a minute. But if I crack on with the first question, which is, what's your favourite thing about working at RPC?
Oh, I think my favourite thing, my most favourite thing, and probably what I was looking for when I was looking for firms, so it hasn't disappointed in my expectations when I was applying, is that I needed a place where I could really be myself. Because I had this idea of a law firm in my head, hence why I went in-house first as a paralegal, that I just wouldn't fit in there. It would all be suits. It would be stuffy, like you'd all just sit in your siloed desks, and trainees were to be seen and not heard. That's what I had in my head. So I was looking for law firms where trainees would get a lot of responsibility and would be treated well, and their development was so key, but also that you could bring your personality to work. And at RPC, that's exactly what you can do. And I will go up to associate's desk. We can have a joke, we can have a laugh. We go out for drinks together as a team. Christmas parties are so much fun, things like that. So yeah, it's a really good office environment, and it hasn't disappointed me in terms of what I'd read about RPC online before I applied.
Awesome. Yeah, it's so great to hear all of those things that you just don't know about until you.
Hi, sorry, I can only hear Ella, I'm afraid.
I can repeat the question and then Kieran can answer.
Ella,
yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, okay. So Kieran, the question is, what is the best part about working at RPC for you?
Oh, the people, 100% the people. It's great because you wake up, you look forward to meeting your team, what's gone on, and across all levels of seniority, like have a bit of banter, what's going on. What you sort of find is the smaller the team is, like, the more closely knit you become, really. Particularly as they rely on you a lot more because, like, you may be sometimes the only trainee in the department, or there's only a few trainees to go around. But I think the personalities made it for me. They're actually quite an important factor for me choosing to accept the TC, to even go for the vacation scheme. In fact, the fact that everybody was so friendly, it's a far cry from the sort of more cold, austere perception of what a lawyer can be. So that's what really sold it to me. It was very down to earth, very real, very strikingly real, if you will. It was a no-brainer for me.
Brilliant. Yeah, love those answers. So one that links to this, which has just come through the chat. So Ellie, you might have to be the go-between again.
Yeah. Okay.
So a really good one. How does your day-to-day life as a trainee solicitor differ to what you thought it would be?
Okay, Kieran, the question is, how does your day in the life of a trainee differ to what you thought it would be?
Cool. I think one thing is that talking to people. So when I was at university, when I talked to people that already had, maybe a vac scheme, I thought it was going to be intense all the time, and that was a little bit worrying. Being real, because obviously it's quite that can be quite a pressured environment. And there are elements of being intense at the time. What you sort of tend to find is that there are times when it gets particularly intense, but you understand the reasons why it is. But there's also times where things are calmer and you can sort of focus on your personal developments a bit more. You can focus on those office relationships a bit more. So it's much more varied than I thought it was initially, which I was actually quite glad about, because I'm not sure how nice it would be to be like, under the cosh 100% of the time. But what do you think, Ella?
I 100% agree. I think is there feedback? Sorry. Thank you. I 100% agree with Kieran. I mean, typically me and Kieran are coming up to the busiest time of the year, from experience last year, and that's just the way businesses work. Like, both of us have been in-house, like year end is the busiest time, so we know that it's going to be high pressure. But then we know next year, February, March time, there's the less intense pressure. But in terms of what I found differed, is so RPC's open plan. So I knew that before I went in, but I did not realise that I would be sat next to a partner, opposite a senior associate, and then diagonally across from a partner on a four-way booth. I did not realise that that's what happened with trainees. I thought partners sat together with the senior associates, and that's kind of, then it went junior associates, then it went to us. So that was really surprising, and at first it's a little bit intimidating, but they're so friendly, the partners, which I know they're people too. They're not partners, doesn't mean they're not a person. So it was really nice to be able to have a good relationship with them. You could ask them questions, which I found surprising, because you'd think before you started, there's no way you're going to go talk to a partner directly ever. But yeah, it's not really like that at RPC. You can talk to anyone and ask them for help. Yeah,
that's such brilliant exposure to be sat opposite next to a partner.
Yeah, it was very daunting day one when you sit down and you're like, oh gosh, this is my seat. This is where I'm going to be sitting. I better not say anything stupid on the phone. But if anything, so one of the partners sat next to you, we're constantly making jokes. So he was really nice and it was absolutely fine. I mean, my second seat was spent same as Kieran's in our bedrooms. So we've only done 6 months of that. But yeah.
Oh, awesome. Really good. Well, I've got 2 kind of questions linked to that. So you mentioned about work-life balance, well, kind of that you go through really busy times. And I just wanted to kind of understand from you, how do you manage that work-life balance when you're really busy?
Kieran, the question is, how do you manage your work-life balance when it's really busy? So when we've talked about it being busy and then being busy. I don't mind if you want to go first. Shall I go first? Okay. So I think, so how do I manage it? So I think you just have to, firstly, you have to just roll up your sleeves. I think it's a mental thing. I know I'm going to be busy. Don't moan about it. I know that sounds a bit cold, but you know that's going to be the reality. It's not fun. You're not here to have a fun time with your mates. That's not what work is really. But you're in a good supportive working environment. If it is getting too much, you can yell out and say, and everyone's in the trenches with you. It's not just you. You've got the junior associates, you've got the senior associates, you've got the partners. If you're busy, they're going to be busy, especially towards year end. Like in the corporate team, I know it's coming because a lot of clients will see Christmas as a deadline in their heads. They want their deals complete by Christmas. So everyone is going to be busy. So yeah, you just have to get in that mental headspace. You have to, I think to-do lists are like the thing you have to do, for me anyway, because I need to write down every single thing at the end of each day that I need to complete in the next 2 days or in the next week or whatever. I mark them in importance. I think you have to really be on top of being organized with your diary and inbox, like marking things as red and urgent, green when you've done them, filing them away, and communication as well with your team. If, like my supervisors told me, like if you are filled to the brim of capacity, you have literally no more, you have to speak up, because especially when you're working from home, they can't see you in the office. If they can see the partners and senior associates coming up to your desk all the time, or junior associates, then they probably think, oh, maybe she's a bit busy, but they can't see you right now. So you have to stick your head up and be like, I actually can't say yes. I know you need me to say yes, but I can't right now because I've got this, this, and this. It's due this day and this day, but after that, I can help you. So yeah, that's kind of how I see it. It's all about mental attitude.
No, definitely.
I 100% agree. Sorry, can you hear me, by the way?
Yes.
Yeah. So work-life balance, I think, comes down to effective planning, really. So to do this, absolutely like the key to all my days. I've got like a category system for my to-do list, like 4 categories, ranking like chargeable, non-chargeable, urgent, not urgent. So that really, really helps me as well. One little mental trick, I would second everything Ella has said as well. People really do appreciate it when you're busy. Like, they will, some days be like, oh, please, could you help stay a little bit longer to, complete this. Other days I've been told to go home because they recognise I've done like a pretty big shift a few days before. They're like, no, you've helped immensely. Have some rest. So there is that element as well. But I would say one mental trick that I was told by a senior person was instead of saying I need to do X, just say I am going to do X. Suddenly you become much more focused on it, and it actually helps a world, because you feel less an obligation, because it's more of a I will do this because it is my drive to do it. And yeah, it's very much a mental sort of game. RPC also generally has we understand people aren't here to be beasted. It's not that kind of firm at all. Everyone wants to have work-life balance, and fundamentally we recognise that interesting people make good lawyers who win good clients. how are you going to have, interests if you don't have time to do those interests? I get to go play, Premier League hockey. It's great. I wouldn't have time for it if it was like an extremely, intense firm all the time. But RPC sort of realised actually to have good quality people, we need to let them have good quality lives, which is also a big reason why I actually chose to apply.
Brilliant. Really good insights. So linked to that, obviously we've just gone through a bit of a crazy year with COVID. So just wanted to get your thoughts on what was it like to work during lockdown at RPC?
Kieran, the question is, because we just had COVID, what was it like to work during this crazy time? And that's basically the question, isn't it? What was it like to work during COVID? Do you want to go first?
Yeah. I'll grab this one. So I thought it was actually surprisingly easy, actually, to get transitioned to COVID, because as soon as it happened, like the firm acted quite quickly. We got like 150 quid to like get a second monitor, get off the office equipment you needed, basically. And also everybody was very understanding as well. So, for example, we know that we're not in the office. Stop. We get like hard copy bundles out. We've got to be flexible about this. We've got to talk to our clients, talk to our the opposition if we're in litigation, saying, look, the reality of the situation is this. Partners sort of led the charge on that. So as trainees, we were also very supported as well. We had plenty of mental health and well-being initiatives being run from working from home. There was a big push actually very early on, telling us to get away from our desks, because it became very apparent very early on that the line between work and home was now almost non-existent, because suddenly your home is your work. You literally have an office in your bedroom or in your room. And I think it was actually, I felt very supportive. I felt like we were properly equipped to do the task as well. And also, like I said, we've got goodie bags. People were thinking of us. You're not left in the dark. And people also make an effort to make virtual coffees with you. And also, as a tip, depending on how long these restrictions last, what the future looks like, also like go out of your way to put coffees in the diary, virtual catch-ups in the diary with team members, your supervisors, and if you can, do a virtual social as well, because that's great fun. Plus, you might get 20 quid delivery out of it, so win-win.
Great, I love that. How about you, Ella?
I agree with what Kieran said. RPC handled it really well. So I think at first it was that first couple of weeks, it was strange for everyone. So having spoken to a lot of the trainees, we were all a little bit quieter than usual, because our teams, so everyone above us, basically what happened was the day that lockdown happened, so as in like Monday, we were all in the office and we just changed seats. So we just started our second seat and we're meeting our new teams. So we were saying hello to everyone. Then we got an email saying you're not coming in the next day. So we'd only just met our new teams, so then we had to go from working in our bedrooms. So because we'd only just joined these teams, we were quiet for like the first week or two, because our teams were figuring out what they were doing. Number one, working from home, but also now we've got a brand new person in our team. What do we give them? So that was a daunting time, but then it was fine. It just sprang back into normal. What I like about it as well is that I feel like it's normalized flexible working for our firm. So I think that's going to be a real added benefit going forward. Because I know that sometimes, especially as trainees, you're like, if you need to work from home, say like a fridge is being delivered because that's essential, you need to be home, and no one's going to be there, so you want to work from home. It felt a bit scary to ask, because you're thinking, oh, they probably think I'm not working, but now it'll be absolutely fine to go and ask, because you've just done 6 months. So yeah, benefits.
Really good. Yeah, it's strange how life has changed, but it's so good to hear your insights about it, because you're literally going through it, and yeah, very, very insightful. So I've got one now, kind of, I think probably our final question. If you cast your minds back to when you were, and like a lot of the people that are listening to you, thinking, who do I apply for? How do I apply? What do I do? So what would be your advice to students who are looking at applying to RPC now? What can they do to stand out in the recruitment process?
So Kieran, the question is, when we were applying, can we cast our minds back to think about how we would approach the process, what you would do to stand out when applying to RPC?
Yeah, sure. I think one of the things that I remember I made like a load of applications, as I'm sure many people like attending this are possibly going to do as well. And I think the thing that really I said to all of us is to really, really tailor individually as much as you can. You know, your applications. Part of it is looking on the website. Part of it is looking at the big deals that or litigation that a firm is involved with. But also think a little bit further outside the box as well. Do a bit of sort of like I know commercial awareness. Like you're probably all sick of hearing that phrase. But like commercial awareness, not just about the firm, but also about the firm's clients and sectors. That would, if you can get that to inform your application. For example, like, you know, with RPC, you may look at the insurance. You may look at, for example, increasing cyber risks, which is a big growth area for us currently in the firm as part of our PFR team. And also, like, you know, data litigation, which is on the rise massively as well. If you're able to incorporate elements of research into the application process, you do stand out as somebody with, you know, authentic interest in the area. And fundamentally, somebody with an authentic interest is going to be much more self-driven to do very well in those sort of areas of interest for the firm. And I think maybe that's the key, from my perspective anyway, if I had to give like the top tip to stand out on what you should be doing in your applications. I mean, what do you think about this, Ella?
I 100% agree. I think when I was at university, I didn't listen to when everyone was like, tailor your applications, blah, blah, blah. Because I was, you go into panic mode, you're a bit like, oh my gosh, I don't actually understand what's going on with this process. I don't really understand how a law firm actually works. So you just think it'll be fine to do that. But law firms, like the HR recruitment team, they can tell. And then it was only when I started working. I mean, I'm not saying that you can't do amazing applications at uni, but for me, it was when I started working that I understood what commercial awareness meant suddenly. And I started, because I was now working, I started thinking, I want to go to a firm that I want to wake up every day and be happy that I'm going to. So I started thinking, instead of why does a law firm want me? Why do I want that law firm? Because I think it's really important. And so instead of doing loads of applications, I really only did a few, like literally 3. Which I'm not, obviously, you can do as many as you want, but it was because I was just, I saw RPC basically, and they were number 1, and I really wanted RPC. And I think that drive really tailored my application even more. So that one stood out by a mile. If I was going to do it now, like, I would do everything Kieran said. And for me, I would put an angle on it, on something that I found interesting. Like, if you make it to interviews, you're going to have to talk about that application. So there's no point putting something in there that sounds clever if you don't understand it, which I know happens a lot. I know when we were doing it, Brexit was the thing. I would never touch Brexit in a million years now, because no one has a clue what's going on. And now, if I was going to talk about something, I'd maybe talk... I'm not obviously recommending it, but I would have done Love Island. I would have talked about Love Island. I would have talked about how different sectors of the group might be able to help with maybe the TV show itself or the influencers coming out of it. So commercial contracts is obviously part of the MIPTOP group. IP, so you think about all the merchandising that comes out of it. I think Primark tried to slogan some of their key stuff, like don't put all your eggs in one basket and put it on t-shirts and stuff like that. So things like that, it's like ways to incorporate other sectors of the firm. You've got a limited word count, I am aware of that, so you're not going to be able to talk about every single thing, but putting a unique angle on it, on something that I find interesting. Yes, I'm holding my hands up, I love reality TV, and I'm not ashamed of it, but yeah, I could easily sit there and chat about it and talk about the different angles now. So yeah, just don't pick something to make yourself sound overly clever if you don't understand it. Like, if you love coding, talk about coding. That's great, but I wouldn't be able to talk about coding. But yeah, I think it's all about getting your personality through and what you like.
Such good advice.
Yeah, 100% agreed. It's all about like your authenticity and your personality. That's so true.
Yeah. Well, I think that is a lovely moment to end our discussion. I love that passion all the way. So thank you both. You've been brilliant, really insightful, and I know we've now got time for people to go to booths, so if anyone has any questions that haven't been answered within this session, then please hop on over to your booth. And the booths are open now till 3 o'clock for all employers. So I just want to say thank you so much to you both. Thank you. Thank you to everyone.
Lizzie saying thank you.
Oh, absolute pleasure. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, and thank you to everyone watching and submitting questions. So we shall speak to you all soon. Thanks very much.
Bye. Bye, everyone. Thank you for coming.